council of elders, and you're planning this life, this thing called your life. See, you think you were just born. You think you just happened to be here, and that you just happened to be born in Milwaukee, and in the 80s, and disco music was in, and your mama was a disco dancer, and your daddy was a stripper. You know what I'm saying? Hey, and my parents are crazy, and this is what I did with my, this is how most people think about it. It's deeper than that. Before you were born, you pre-birth intentioned a curriculum for your life. And you gave yourself, I'm going to hold that thought for a second, I'm jumping ahead. You gave yourself an intention. To fulfill your intention, you meticulously, hear me when I say this, meticulously designed your life. So you chose your parents. You chose them. Now, you didn't just look up in a phone book and do a background check. You chose them. Let me clarify that because that's going to get confusing for some people. You did not say, well, let me go and just look in here and see who might be a good mother, who might be a bad father, right? You didn't do that. You chose them by way of energy and by way of frequency. Because, going back to pre-birth intention, you needed to create a set of circumstances in your life for your curriculum. So, the choice would set you, nothing is more important than your childhood. First 7 years of your life. Yeah. That sets the direction for the rest of your life. You chose the parents according to the curriculum you wanted to explore. Now, here's a secret. A lot of people don't know this. Most people don't. We live in what is called a polarized system. Polarity. Good, bad. Black, white. Up, down. Hot, cold. Everything in this dimension of existence has an opposite. You came here to experience polarization, and then you came in to neutralize the polarization. I'm going to explain in a minute what I mean by that. Your parents, you needed, this is where I'm going to put something on the board to help us. Because it's getting a little bit complicated, and I had a marker. Okay, so here we go. Visuals. Pay attention. This is your mom. Okay, I know I'm not the best artist. Put a wig on or something, put afro on or whatever. Okay, this is your dad, okay? Just say daddy's bald. We can put no hair on daddy. Okay, and then here you come, right? Sperm and egg meet, right? You got the little egg, the little sperm, miracle of birth, producing you. You're right here. What are you after? Let me tell you something. You weren't just born to anybody. You were after a very specific gene combination of mother and father. You could not have been born. Hear me now. You could not have been born without the specific DNA of both parents. You not only needed their specific gene combination, you needed the grandmother, the great-grandmother, the great-great-great-grandmother. You needed 7 lines back of DNA. That's what you needed. Why would you need that? Why would you care? Why would you need that? Does anybody want to take a guess at
it? Because certain emotions and certain feelings and historical, I guess I would say experiences are passed on through DNA.
Yeah, very good. Yes. Okay, so let me clarify. Yes, Amber is actually dead on. Mother, father, you needed their specific DNA to set the emotional tone for who you would be. Mm-hmm. You needed the mother and the father's DNA because in the DNA, in the genetic structure, there are certain tendencies that you needed to have in order to come here. Does that make sense? Is everybody with me on that? Are you with me? Is that clear?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, here's what you don't know, except the people that have been coming during radio for a while do know. When you're in utero, the baby takes on and downloads like a computer, literally like a download of a computer. The mother and the father's conscious and unconscious beliefs. They download them. So, you got your mother's beliefs and you got your father's beliefs. Automatically. If your parents are poor, never had no money, believe in lack, you were downloaded with lack at birth.
Yeah.
You were downloaded with...
That sucks.
Pay attention to this now. Look at families. The apple doesn't fall far from the what?
Tree.
Why is that? Because the download in the DNA. Okay? So, this spirit is looking for that. Because it's going to set up the conditions for its life. Yes.
Is that why sometimes you'll see a characteristic in a child that has never seen their biological parent, but yet they have the same exact characteristics of that biological
Absolutely.
without any influence?
Absolutely. Now, here's something I want to jump in here. Okay, some people adopt children.
Yeah.
Let me talk about adoption. I know Katie has adopted children. Anybody have adopted children in the room?
Been adopted.
Okay, good. Okay. Who else has been adopted other than Amber? Does anybody else know if they were adopted? Okay, you're unique, Kate. Adopted children need specifically the DNA of their parents, even though they know when they come in they have no intention of having that person raise them. Wow. But they need the DNA of that mother and the father specifically, even though they know that they won't raise them. Okay? So, Amber, let's say this is Amber. Amber specifically needed the DNA of her mother and her father, and then these two people adopted her. At birth, Amber was downloaded with mother and father, raised by two other people, consciously. Now here's what's tricky. You cannot transfer your subconscious belief to your adopted children. It's impossible, because if it's subconscious, you don't know it. Okay? So, Amber does not have the subconscious belief system of her two parents, okay, that raised her. She has the subconscious belief system of the two biological parents. The person who adopts a child can transfer conscious beliefs that they are aware of, that they teach the child. Okay? So, what Amber did get from her parent who raised her was the conscious beliefs, conscious, not the subconscious. The reason that Amber wasn't biologically born to the two people here is she needed DNA from these two people. Otherwise, there was no intention to set her life in motion. She couldn't have been born. Is everybody with me so far? Is this making sense? Does anybody have any questions before we go further? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
How does that work when there's twins?
I was just thinking
I'm a
that.
twin.
Because I'm a twin too.
I'm an identical twin.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was thinking the
So
same
how does that
thing.
work? Like, so we both can, like, I mean,
In utero, you guys both, in utero, you both got the subconscious download from both parents.
but do we?
But did you choose which parent? Because I'm more like my dad and my sister's more
You
like
got
my
all of
mom.
them. There's no choice. When you're
Oh.
in utero, you get all the subconscious beliefs of the mother, all of the subconscious beliefs of the father.
Choosing, do we choose as together or separately to choose those parents?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so when you're a twin, basically, a twin, obviously, there is a deep connection on a soul level with twins. They could potentially decide we want to explore this life together. There is a very profound agreement with identical and with fraternal twins that they choose to come in the body temple together. Interestingly about twins, they have interesting dynamics. Either they'll be very close or they won't get along very well. They have an interesting dynamic, twins. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Ben? Okay, so this is what you're going to pull from. Not only are you pulling from the genes, your subconscious beliefs, you're going to be meticulous on when you're born. You're going to be meticulous as to where you're born. You're going to be looking at latitude and longitude. I'm going to go more into that in a moment. You're going to be looking at the culture that you're born into. You're going to be looking at the place in the world that you're born into. Souls that come here and want to have opportunity, guess where they're born?
America.
They're born in America. If the soul wants to have a specific opportunity in life, it will not birth itself into a third world village. Okay? So, the soul that births itself into the third world village is interested in exploring the curriculum associated with that life. It's a very different life, is it not?
Right.
Okay, so you're looking at latitude, longitude, the location, the culture, the ethnicity. If your mother dies when you're 5 years old, one thing you have to know is there's no such thing as time once we're out of time. There's no such thing as time. So you see the whole potential line all the way through from the non-physical. So you know your mother's going to die at 5. A death at the age of 5 sends the trajectory of your life in a very different. If your mother dies at 5, your whole life is different, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happens to you significant in your childhood, whether you will call it traumatic, painful, disturbing, shocking, loving, embracing, pre-birth intention to set your life on a specific path. A child that's been abused, mistreated, is on a specific path.
Okay, so if you're saying that we see that ahead of time, then you're basically saying there's no free will, there's no chance.
Well, no, there is free will. There is free will. That's a great question, though. You see it ahead of time because you must create the condition to set your life in a specific motion. If I'm 5 years old and I'm in a fire that burns me beyond recognition at the age of 5, that sets my life in a very different trajectory than if I was not burned. So you don't have, okay, this is what you don't have a choice on. You must explore the curriculum that you came to.
Right.
And
But what
you
about
chose
the
that
person who
curriculum.
dies, like the parent?
Come again.
So if the parent's gonna die at, when you're 5, so that means their destiny's predetermined.
Well, it means that you came in on the line in which they would die. There's multiple timelines available. There is a timeline that the parent does not die,
Okay,
but they're coming in on the line where they absolutely will.
okay.
There is always more than one thing happening. You will specifically set on the pattern of the things that you're wanting to experience to set yourself in motion. Does that make sense? If you experience death at a very young age, someone close to you passed away very young, that was a pre-birth intention because your sibling or your mother or your father dying when you were really young affected you deeply. It set your life in a very different direction. So those are all pre-birth intention. Does anybody have a question? Any more questions on pre-birth intention? Okay. So at the end of the day, this is your understanding. I want you to understand every condition that you experience, the things that stayed with you, whether you call them horrific, whether you call them loving and wonderful, they were a part of your intention for this life.
And not like your human mind intention,
Yes, okay,
but the spiritual.
Thank you for saying that because
Yeah.
here's the thing, because everyone in the room is like, I would have never in a million years set this BS in motion for my life. Okay? But here's the deal. Here's the deal. How many people have been in a high rise? Everybody's been in a high rise, right? If you're on the ground, if you're on the street, what can you see? You can see only at eye level. If you're on the 21st floor, you can see down, across the street, around the corner, all the way to the ocean, all the way to Catalina Island, right? From your higher perspective, these decisions are made because it can see all the way through. That's what you can't see as a human being when you come into this life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? So this is from your spiritual perspective, not from your temporary self. The temporal self is going to kick this information out because why would I have subjected myself to all of this? Okay? But I'm going to tell you why in a moment. I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. Okay, that's not working.
You need water?
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, you got the wrong color.
I don't know. It might be. Oh, Is it supposed to be one of the races?
Oh, shit, this
Lord
is not
bless
too
my
many.
whole heart. We have to figure that out. Okay, we don't know. That was meant to be here. I got some explaining to do. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Bless my whole heart.
Your whole heart.
So,
Oh, permanent. It says permanent.
does it say permanent?
Yeah, some awesome look it up.
Some what?
Awesome.
Okay, we're gonna have to get some
Okay, we'll get some awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome.
lemon soup.
Okay.
Okay.